Yes. Good morning, everybody, or whatever time you may be listening to this program. This is another case that, I just learned about it, but it's horrifying. We talk quite a bit about someone pleading insanity and why didn't they plead insanity, or why weren't they allowed to plead insanity? Well, this is a case where someone pled insanity.
And actually for a very good reason, I'd say.
And for a good reason. But they were also found innocent because they pled insanity, even though they kind of decapitated someone.
Whoops.
Yeah. In a case that's gripped a lot of public attention, Alexis Saborit, a man previously found guilty of a horrifying crime involving the murder and decapitation of his girlfriend, Thayer, has now been deemed not guilty by reason of mental illness in a recent second part of his trial. On July 28th, 2021, law enforcement apprehended Saborit in connection with the gruesome murder of Thayer, whose decapitated body was found on a sidewalk. Opting for a bench trial over a jury trial in May, Saborit was declared guilty of first-degree premeditated murder by First Judicial District Judge Caroline Lennon after he initially pled not guilty due to mental illness. According to official reports, the unfortunate day of the incident saw an argument ensue between Saborit and Thayer. Their disagreement stemmed from Saborit's refusal to attend a court hearing related to an arson charge. Here's the thing. If you're in a relationship with somebody and they're like, I got to miss that court date for that arson charge, get out of that relationship with that person. There's deal breakers, and more people need to recognize them and act on them earlier on. Yeah. I'm not blaming this victim, but I'm saying people need to recognize toxic human beings far more than we actually do, and stop trying to find ways of letting them continue on in your life. The Saborit case entered a second phase of the trial aimed at establishing his mental state at the time of the crime, as documented in the court record from Scott County on July 17th. During this phase, the court called upon the expertise of two professionals in the mental health field, Dr. Andrea Lovett and Dr. Catherine Jameson. It's important to note that Saborit's criminal record is extensive, with prior convictions including domestic abuse, domestic battery, false imprisonment, among others. He's a lovely human being that we say, oh, come live amongst us. In the telling incident in 2020, a friend of Thayer voiced concerns about Saborit's escalating physical and psychological abuse to his probation officer, stating that Saborit was experiencing severe mental health issues and expressing fears that Thayer's life was in imminent danger. However, Thayer refuted these claims, insisting that her friend had concocted the story. A significant turning point in Saborit's life was a severe car accident in 2017 where he was intoxicated at the wheel. The incident led to coma and a traumatic brain injury, following which he reported auditory hallucinations and paranoid delusions. In the wake of his arrest for Thayer's murder, signs of Saborit's severe psychosis became increasingly evident. His thought processes were disorganized, his paranoia intensified, and he became the victim of bizarre delusions, including a belief that his prison food was poisoned.
Okay.
Is that a bad idea? Both Dr. Lovett and Dr. Jameson noted significant signs of mental instability in their interactions with Saborit. Despite attempts to respond coherently to questions, his responses often became jumbled and irrational. Saborit acknowledged the immorality of his actions, but also voiced bizarre accusations against Thayer, including claims that she had orchestrated an assault against him. After a comprehensive analysis, Dr. Lovett concluded that Saborit's actions on the day of Thayer's murder stemmed from his mental illness, not the influence of drugs or alcohol. It's highlighted in a history of psychotic episodes. Dr. Jameson concurred, testifying that Saborit was experiencing genuine symptoms of a psychotic disorder at the time of his offense. Importantly, while Saborit understood the wrongness of his actions, he failed to appreciate the moral implications. Based on these findings, Judge Lennon ruled Saborit not guilty by reason of mental illness. She ordered his transfer to a facility operated by the Commission of Human Services. This case illustrates the intricate crossroads of criminal law and mental health, highlighting the necessity of in-depth psychological evaluations in cases of violent crime. Here's my concern. In cases like this, where they are found not guilty, at some point, many times because there's only so many beds. Oh, it looks like you might be better now. 1 year, 2 year, 3 years down the road, 5, 10, whatever, maybe a month. And then guess who gets to go back out? Guess who gets to, have their psychosis on the streets again?
I hope you're wrong about that. I hope you're just so far off. But
I'm not.
We're dealing with somebody.
I'm not that
I
far.
know you're not. I know you're not. We're dealing with somebody. What I'd like to know before his accident in 2017, and not that this necessarily makes a difference because the trauma is affecting who he is today, but I'm curious as to how he was before that accident in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that was brought on by that traumatic brain injury? We've often heard of that with, CTE with football players, things like that, just these violent tendencies. And if that's the case, does he need to be put somewhere else to deal with that specific mental illness that stemmed from a traumatic injury?
Well, I mean, it may very well may be part of that. But the thing is, he was doing horrible things prior to the traumatic brain injury. So he was just a rotten human being from yeah, I mean, then you add in traumatic brain injury to someone who's already not good, and you simply lift that barrier of the waterfall of madness because there's nothing there to stop it anymore, then that can result in something like this. Now, he may be very ill and may not have understood what he was doing at the time, but that doesn't mean that, if he gets back out, he's not going to do it. This is why, hopefully, he is confined to this hospital for the rest of his life. But notice that wasn't part of the judgment.
Yeah, and that's the disturbing part, is that you've got somebody who is technically special needs,
mm-hmm.
who has committed a crime. So he cannot be in general population here. He is somebody who is dangerous, maybe not by any actions that he is aware of. It's just something that's happening. And you need to take that into account. He should never be back out on the streets ever again.
No, he's a danger to himself and he's a danger to others. And if anyone has any sort of sense of responsibility, you keep him away from the rest of society for the rest of his life.
You're locked into the Hidden Killers podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.
This is an examination of the hidden human condition
This is the Hidden Killers podcast
with Tony Bruschi.